if-else program. What have we learned so far in Python? Based on what we're doing today, we're going to be using input, exit, and if-else loops. We're not going to be using or and, but they're useful things to know when doing if-else. So what's input? Input basically asks the user a question which they are able to answer. Exit basically stops the code from continuing to run and run and run and run. It stops the loops and finishes the code. This exit will be useful when wanting to stop or look where it's finished. If and else loops. If and else loops are basically loops used for doing two different things based on the answer of a single question. Or in Python and or in the real world means the same thing. It can be this or it can be that. It's kind of the opposite of and. And means you have to use both of those things or it won't work. Or you can use one thing or the other. So let's see what we're going to do today in Python. Today we will be coding a small, fun, and exciting program using lots and lots of if-else loops. We will be reviewing most of the things we learned in my last video, which was more about if-else loops. We will be coding a program which gives some information for voting. Are you old enough to vote? Have you registered yet? How long till you can vote? These are all things which we will code today using input and lots of if-else loops. So let's see what the output will be of our code. So what are we going to code today in Python? Well, this is what we're going to code. First, we'll ask the user, how old are you? And I'm just going to put a random number, let's say 20. It says, you are old enough to vote. Have you registered yet? And no, I haven't. Oh, will you vote in the future? Maybe. Great. Now this is pretty small, but it's not that easy of coding. Let's try something smaller. Maybe you're not old enough to vote. How old are you? 3. Sorry, you aren't old enough to vote. Would you like to know how long you have to wait until you get to vote? Yes. You have 15 years remaining until you can vote. Now, what we're going to code today is a small portion that's going to tell us a bit about voting. So, let's see it. Now, to start coding, the first thing it prints is how old are you? And that's an input, for sure, because we get to answer it. So, first we're going to put it as input, how old are you? But we probably need to use this because it says, sorry, you aren't old enough to vote, or you are old enough to vote, and things like that. So we need to save this into a variable called age. So how does it figure out that you are old to vote, and if you're old enough to vote or not? Well, we know that you have to be 18 or older to vote. So probably we would use if age is greater than or equal to 18, do something. But wait, what? We know that when you ask a question in input or something like that, your answer is always a string. So when it says age is greater than or equal to 18, this is a string, and you can't compare strings with numbers. So you need to put int to change this into an integer. And now there won't be any yellow color. So what will we do if your age is greater than or equal to 18? Well, we can print you are old enough to vote. And you can type more if you want. This is just something simple. So print you're old enough to vote. Now it's gonna ask, it asks us, have you registered yet to vote? And we can do the same thing. We're gonna name this variable yes or no. And we know what to store into variable because stuff happened after it too. So yes or no is equal to input, have you registered yet to vote yet. Right. So we're going to make an if-else statement in our if-else statement. I'm going to say if yes or no is equal to, and equal to is two equal signs, remember, equal to yes, then print great. And you could, of course, add on to this. You can ask many more questions like, I'm not sure really, but stuff like that. Are you going to be president one day? Do you want to be president? Are you happy with your decision? Or something like that. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to stop here. Then we're going to put else. Else, yes or no to. We're going to ask another question. So in our else, if they say no or something random, then we say yes or no is equal to input. Oh, will you vote in the future? So we're going to ask them, will you vote in the future? Simple. So now we're going to say if yes or no to is equal to yes, then print great. Else print oh. Okay. And then exit. And if you notice by now that we've been putting a lot of if-else loops inside our if-else loops and inside our if-else loops and so on. So you can keep putting if-else loops continuously and continuously and continuously in your if-else loops, and there won't be a problem unless you coded something wrong. We have to put exit after everything is done. So here, there's no more questions. So we have to put exit. Again, here, there's no more questions. So we're going to put exit. Now, sometimes it's not necessary to put exit, but just to make sure it exits at the moment and doesn't keep running for some random reason, we put exit. And it makes it more formalized. And you kind of know where ends are instead of searching for them. So this is our end of our if-else loops. We're not putting any more if-else loops after this. So we're going to get out of this if-else loop. What I mean by this is if you notice, every time we make an if-else loop, and after we put our if statement, and then we press enter, we have a tab. And when we say get out of our if-else loop, we mean get out of it. This is all inside this if-else loop. This stuff is inside this if-else loop. This is inside, or actually, this is inside this if-else loop, or statement. And this is in this, and this. So when we say get out of this if-else loop, I mean this if-else loop, we mean get out of it. It's not in there anymore. It's in this area. It's in this if-else loop. And since we already put our else, we also need to get out of this if-else loop. Back here. And then now we're in this if-else loop. But we don't really have anything here. So we need to get out of this else if else loop all the way to be in this area. So now, since there's no else for that, we're going to put an else for it. We say else print sorry, you aren't old enough to vote. Now, just to make sure everybody understands, our first question was, how old are you? So these two are different things. If they're old enough, they'll go into this section. If they're not old enough, they'll go to this section. So we finished the section if they're old enough. Now we're finishing the section if they aren't old enough. So, sorry, you aren't old enough to vote. Yes or no. We'll make another one. You should know 3 is equal to input. Would you like to know how long you have to wait until you get to vote? So this is basically asking, would you like to know how long you have to wait? And if they say yes, so if yes or no, 3 is equal to yes, then we do something. But what? Well, we have to tell them how long we have to vote. And in this case, we need to use our age. So what we're going to do is called age remaining. We're going to name this as a variable. So our age remaining is equal to 18 because they have to be smaller than 18 because they are not old enough to vote. So 18 minus age. But there's a yellow thing, so there's probably something's wrong. But what? Remember again that whenever you have your input, the output is always a string. So we cannot just leave age like that. We have to put int. Put it like this because you're subtracting it from a number. So age has to be a number. And in this case, it's possible. So this is our age remaining. Now we can print you have plus a. Now we can put age remaining plus years remaining. Because remember, it just prints a number, so you're going to have to say, let's say age remaining is 2, and say you have 2 years remaining until you can vote. But again, there's a yellow line, and you can guess, if you've been paying attention, that age remaining is a number, and you are adding it into a string. You have to change this to a string by putting str. So there you go. Now you're done with this. And remember, when we're done, or to make it easier for us to see where are we done, instead of searching for it, we can put exit. So finishes off. Now we get out of this office and go here. Because this is going to have an else statement, we're going to put one. So if they wouldn't like to know how long they have to wait until they get to vote, then we can say else print O. Okay, then goodbye. And there. And then we can exit it. We're done. So this is all about voting. How old are you? Are you old enough to vote? Have you registered to vote yet? Great. Will you vote in the future? Yes, no, great, okay. And then, sorry, you aren't old enough to vote. Would you like to know how long you have to wait until you can vote? And things like that. Now we can run it and see if it works. So it asks us, how old are you? We're going to try the same thing we did last time. 20. You are old enough to vote. Have you registered to vote yet? And let's say no. Oh, will you vote in the future? Yes, maybe. Great, it finishes. Now let's say instead of no, we put yes. So we are 20 years old. Have you registered to vote yet? Yes. And it prints great and it finishes off. Let's put 20 again. And this time let's put no. So it's asking us, will you vote in the future? And we say no again. It says, oh, okay. And then exits. Now let's not say if you're old enough to vote, but you're not old enough to vote. So we are 5 years old. Would you like to know how long you have to wait until you get to vote? We can say yes. You have 13 years remaining until you can vote. And then exits. What if I say no? Say 5. Would you like to know how long you have to wait until you get a vote? No. Okay then, goodbye. And it finishes. So it does work. You can make more if-else statements in these if-else statements and make it more complicated and fun. So there you have it. So that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching.